So what's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace. And today we're gonna get into ranking all my pastel palettes. So when I did the Natasha Denona pastel palette review, one of y'all in the comment section was like, I asked about pastels. So I'm like, so you telling me I need to rank all the pastel palettes I own and get y'all a video on it? And she was like, yes please. I'm like, done. So here we are doing that. So I own about 9-10 pastel palettes because I got some monochromatic ones from ColourPop. Then I have a couple other brands that threw pastels in with a few other colors. And then I just have true to tone pastel palettes. So we're going to rank all 9 of the ones I brought with me. I have a couple that I don't, like to talk about those brands because they've done some things that I don't necessarily agree with. So it's like, I'm not giving you none of my time for free. So those 2 brands we're not going to talk about, but all the rest of them we're going to talk about. I have one that I forgot to bring, but I will show you a picture of it when we get there because I just realized now that I didn't have it, and it's actually one of the ones that's going to be ranked higher toward the top. So how I forgot it, child, I don't know. Anyway, let's get started. So the one from the video that started this video is actually dead last. Number 9 is the Natasha Denona pastel palette. So what I ranked this stuff on was the colors in the palette, how well the colors performed, if the colors were true to color, which is my biggest thing. It's like, if it's supposed to be this color, it needs to be this color. And everybody was complaining about the 2 colors that I used that y'all saw in the video. The shade right here is Zest, which was not true to color at all. And then shade Bora that we all thought was going to give us like depth in the outer V at least, and didn't do that either. So overall, this palette was not great compared to all the other pastel palettes in my collection. I mean, the shimmers in it are okay. The rest of the mattes were pretty much fine. It's just the one I was most excited about that I thought I was going to get this wonderful green moment with, and then like put this all over the lid and just have this gorgeous experience, was not it at all. So this is number 9 for the aforementioned reasons. Next we have number 8, which is the Ice Cream Dream palette from Glamlight. Now I know this is a mixture. This is one of the palettes that I was telling you about that has mixtures of mattes and mixtures of pastels and other shades, like, because as you can see, the top half isn't pastel, but if you put your hand up and go down, the rest of it is pastel. The problem is these pastels aren't true to color either. So when I put these on the lid from the original video, they got darker, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, if you're lighter and you want it to be this true color, then it's not. It's like, aside from the fact that if I wanted it to be the true color, it's not, then that's a problem too. So it's like, these aren't true to color, and I didn't really like the way they performed. I felt like they were kind of patchy as compared to other pastels I had that we will see later. So that's why this one is number 8 to me. This is just one of my least favorite Glamlight palettes. So there you go. Number 7, I have the Sugar Pill Fun Size 2 palette. As you can see, this has a few pastel-y like colors in it, but I felt like they really, like the dark tones in here were really patchy to work with, and then the lighter ones obviously weren't showing up on me that great, even though I used the white base. Like this yellow, it wasn't giving anything, honey. I mean, absolutely nothing. This you'd have to put as the inner corner highlight. The other 2 did okay from what I remember. It's just overall I wasn't impressed with this little palette, but I still feel like all the colors in here were actually showed up as true to color, unlike the last 2 I showed you. So that's why this is number 7. Number 6 is On Cloud Blue. I hate the fact that there's a pressed glitter in this palette, but I will say this palette did a good job. All the colors were true to color. The shimmers in here were really nice. There wasn't a whole lot of patchiness going on when it came to this shade or any of the shades, and they gave a really nice look. If you all remember, I did a video on this a while ago, so I'm here for it. I really like this one. I just need to find a shade to replace that pressed glitter in the middle because it's not it. So what is this? This one we did 9, 8, 7, 6. So number 5 is the Mented Cosmetics Tokyo palette. I like this palette okay. It has 1 row of mattes. These are satins, and then the the sparkly glittery shimmers at the bottom. I like it okay. I'm not necessarily excited that these are satins because I felt like they didn't do that great a job of going on the lid. But again, all these colors stayed true to color, and I like Nomad's formula enough to where I felt like I could place it higher up and it would be okay. So that's why this one is number 5. Sorry about the car just peeling off down the street there. But the shimmers in here are stunning. Let me swatch some for you. And then like this really mint shade here, it's kind of like a deep mint, but you see what I'm saying? Like it blends out. It's a nice little satin, but you see it's still the same mint shade that you saw in the pan. It didn't change colors. And let's pick a nice shimmer to swatch. I guess I'll take the green. It has really nice iridescent shimmery shades to add on top of it. So this is what she looks like. I'm not really a swatcher, but I thought I should swatch the satin shade so you can see, even though it is a satin, which means the formula is a little bit different, it is still the same tone that it's supposed to be, which was my main concern when it comes to all these palettes. Because it's like, it's cute that you know, made this pastel palette, but it's not going to be pastel once it goes on my eyeball. Oh crap, y'all, I left 2 palettes at home. I didn't bring the Ethereal Bloom from Artist Couture either, but that's higher up on the list too, so I'll show y'all that in a second. Next I have Sugar Crystals. This one I really like because they did literally just rolls like Blend Bunny Cosmetics does, where you just have a roll of each shade, and then if you want to pick between the colors and do it that way, that's fine. But it's an easy iridescent pastel-y like eye look that you get together all at one time by, you know, doing this. I really like that aspect of this palette. Now these aren't necessarily pastel shades, so when it comes to the mattes, so I guess the pastels are more like the iridescence, but I know a lot of people classify this as a pastel palette, which is why I went ahead and put it in here anyway. But I really like this. I feel like this is what I wanted the Ice Cream Dream palette to be like the tones being true to tone and some more fun shimmers. But since I already have this one, it's not that big a deal. And this one is number 4? So we have 10 to show out instead of 9 like I thought. Next I have Lilac You a Lot. So if you all remember when this broke, I told you I had to get a new one, and I did. As you can see, the film is still on the mirror. I loved this palette. Like, the pastels in here work beautifully. They look nice on the lid. I've used them as an all matte shade on the lid, and it looks beautiful, and it's been the same color as the tone. The blendability of these shadows is really nice. There's no patchiness to them. It's a really great palette, and if you're into monochromatic tones and you wanted some pastel purples, I feel like this would be a good palette for you. So number 3 is going to be the Artist Couture Ethereal Bloom palette. Let me see if it's still on Sephora so you can see what it looks like. Now that one isn't light pastels. Those pastels are more on the deeper end, if you will. I guess they took it off Sephora, but let me go to his website, because I already had the one that I was going to talk about up. Yeah, here it is. So this is the Ethereal Bloom palette from Artist Couture. As you can see, it has some nice pastel shades at the bottom and at the top, but all shades are pretty much true to tone. I do feel like they darken a little bit, but considering my skin tone, that kind of works in my favor, which is why I like that one a little bit better than the other ones. Now, if you want pastels that are true to tone, you might not necessarily like that, but since I feel like most people who watch me look like me, you would prefer that one because it runs like true to tone. The formula is easy to blend. You don't have that many shades to choose from, so that way if you wanted you know, just a cute little accent palettes to go with your regular palettes, I feel like the Artist Couture would be a good one. That's another reason I put it closer to the top in number 3, because it's just a cute little accent pastel palette. It's not like a huge dedicated to pastels palette, so that way if it doesn't work out for you, it didn't cost that much, and it's not like it's a huge palette that's taking up a whole bunch of space in your collection. Number 2 is going to be one from one of my favorite brands. This is the After Dark palette from Lethal Cosmetics. So that's what she looks like. I really, really love that palette. I actually did an Instagram post a couple years ago about the best pastels for dark skinned girls, and that was one of the palettes that was in there because it is truly one of my favorites. Like, the colors ring true in that palette. It has a beautiful formula because they just have a lovely formula on their products, and I'm here for it. So number one is the Drench Cosmetics and Neon MUA Lunar Retrograde palette. Now, I know this has a mix of neutrals in it, but you gotta think, a brown person made it, so of course that's gonna be the best pastel palette for you, because a brown person gonna know how to make pastels for someone their own skin tone. So you can see how this pastel shade, this more neon-y pastelish pink, this pastel mint shade. So he put quite a few pastels in here, but he still grounded it with some neutrals so you can still use it as an everyday palette. So I picked this palette as number 1. This is my favorite one. This one, the lethal one, and the Ethereal Blooms from Artist Couture are the top 3 I use the most, and then maybe the Sugar Crystals after that. And then if I want monochromatics, then obviously I would use the ColourPop ones, but those are truly my all-time favorite ones, and this one just reigns supreme. The formula on is really nice. I like the ethereal shimmers that go with the pastels in this palette. I like the fact that he took the time to put in darker outer V shades to go with the pastels that you put in a lid, because if you're not a one and done colored shadow person like I'm not, and you want to have more depth in it like you see I have one now, this palette's perfect for that, because see, you have this darker purple to go with the pastel purple. You have this darker tone to go with this pastel, and then you can use some of these other tones to just get an everyday look. So this is more of a everyday palette with pops of pastels that are wear with people my skin tone, but I felt like it was important to mention because we're talking about pastels and you want pastels to actually work on your skin tone and look the way they do in the pan. So those are all the pastel palettes I had to talk about, girl. Those are the top 10 pastel palettes in my collection, and I ranked them accordingly. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.